Hi, everyone.
Hey, Rebecca.
Hi, Jeff. Good to see you again.
Good to
Hi,
see you too. Dana, how are you?
Good. Jeff, I've been listening to Pink Floyd in honor of you coming out here. Got to text each other our favorite songs. I don't know if you've been listening, because when Jeff comes out here, we're taking him to see Pink Floyd because of our relationship with the San Diego Symphony. So trying to get fired up, Jeff, for our concert together.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Excited to have you come to San Diego.
Yep.
Awesome. And I know we have Santana and a couple parents there. And Tessa just joined. Hi, Tessa. This is our new operations assistant.
Hello, nice to meet you guys.
Hi, Tessa.
Hi, nice to see you virtually, but
Me too. Yes.
Awesome. Well, I'll go ahead and get started and add people in as they come in. But everybody, welcome. This is our 56th, I think 55th or 65th. Switching the numbers around. A couple Zoom rules for everyone. Please mute yourself when you're not speaking. We recommend speaker view for presentation. Video sharing is optional, though we love to see all your smiling faces. And please type all questions and comments into the chat. We will have a Q&A and a discussion with our guest speaker today. So please feel free to use the chat, and you can unmute yourselves at the end as well and ask any questions you'd like to our guest speaker. A quick update from Autism Tree. We have now served reached over social media 646,000 people. Our posts have been shared over 1,062 times. So this is all since March of last year, when COVID first hit San Diego. We pivoted everything online and started providing as many online resources as possible for our children and families. And of those, we've have 429 impact videos on our YouTube channel as of today. Please subscribe. It takes 1 second, and we post weekly. We posted 372 videos since March 12th of last year. That's all from our program directors and volunteers who have been incredible and really stepped up during this time to make everyone feel connected and loved. Our Reading with Autism Tree series is where our volunteers read children's books to our kids. We posted about 109 videos, and that's a playlist on our YouTube video series as well. We've also provided 314 events to date, with 12 events coming up between now and the end of the month, and plenty more between now and the end of the year. So if you're curious about our programs or any events coming up, 19 of our programs have been pivoted to be online. Well, 18 in virtual, actually 3 in person as well. We have 1 hybrid class as well, our dance class, which happens every Saturday. We just started our fall session. So lots of fun activities and events always going on at Autism Tree. If you would like to get involved, feel free to reach out to me directly. And so without further ado, I skipped ahead. There we go. 65th Lunch and Learn. I was right, 65th with Walter Suskind. I'm going to have pass it over to Dana Hoff, our co-founder and executive director, who will introduce Walt.
Thank you, Rebecca. It's nice to be back. I don't even know how many weeks it's been. I know I only missed last week, but before that we had taken a break. So it feels like it's been a little bit since I've done a Lunch and Learn, and I just want you to know that I was talking to Walt on the pre-call with Rebecca, saying, that these Lunch and Learns are like a resource library to us now. And if you, are out there in the community, like I know Walt and Jeff are, and Tessa now, and I know Karen Wright, I think all of us really, when we're helping someone else, it's just really nice to have such a large reference library. And if you ever, are in a situation where you're trying to help someone and you don't have a lot of time and you want to quick text me, I'm happy to help find the right one, since we do have 65 now. But I use them frequently as a way to help a family. And say, like, watch Walt's Lunch and Learn today if you have a sibling and there's a lot going on. I think in most families that have someone on the autism spectrum, and then there's a sibling involved, I think all families could really benefit And most siblings, even within our foundation, if you took all the thousands of families at Autism Tree, don't participate in the sibling events that we do. So I think it's something that we, since day one at the foundation, I could say without hesitation, everyone around me, since I only have one son, Garrett, was always saying, but what are we going to do for the siblings? What are we going to do for the siblings? And I always counted that as a blessing because I only had one child, but everyone around me since we've been building autism. And so I think it's no accident that we met Walt years ago when he was in San Diego. And I don't know if anyone else has been reflecting, but I kind of do that. And I always think there's a reason. So I guess my just personal reflection that I want to share with you and hope that in some way it's meant to be for you specifically that are here today is I kind of have been going inward a lot and just reflecting on the fact that I'm sort of like for lack of a better word, feeling like I may be becoming a matriarch, which is a really weird thing to say because I'm not a grandparent yet or anything. But when I look at the matriarchs that I've lost in my life, which is my mom in 2012, my husband's mom who helped us start the foundation, it's taken me, decades to think about that and to get paralyzed imagining other women in my life, very few that are matriarchs, imagining them not here. And I'm sharing it with you because, when you're with your family, I think it's really important to sometimes pause. I don't know that I haven't done that, but I guess the reason I'm doing it is because I'm like, wow, I feel so young to sort of like not have a family matriarch above me. It sort of feels like free falling or something, but I am trying to embrace it. And, I've always sort of looked at Autism Tree, like our other child, Garrett, wrote a statement for law school, which he wouldn't want me to share with you. But I hope one day he writes a book and it'll be his first chapter or something. And gosh, there's just so much in there. Something I was thinking of made me think about his statement. Oh, I know what it was. He talked about Autism Tree being the other sibling in his family. And that just meant so much to me because, you always wonder sometimes about your decisions. I mean, all of us, we can wonder like, gosh, did we make the right decision? And I sort of like always have that as a mother with Garrett, like, gosh, did I make the right decision? With having him be so out there with autism and starting the foundation. And I'm really grateful when I sort of see this validation that he 100% not only has always, not even one time, not embraced it, but he's sort of like, in his own way, whatever he's doing, he's going to be pushing forward and having bigger dreams for the foundation and everyone that's a part of it and everyone that's connected to it. And that's probably one of my biggest blessings as a mother. And I include, Autism Tree in that because I think, I know that Garrett wouldn't be the person he is without the foundation. And I know he knows that. And I feel like we can be that for everybody that's involved in the Autism Tree family. And I know everyone that's been dedicated to coming to the Lunch and Learn for 65 weeks, I know we feel that. I know that we know we're building something, and I know what we're building is of tremendous value to other people. And so, it's kind of funny, Walt, but when I'm thinking about meeting you and matriarchs and what that means. It was meeting your mom when you were in San Diego speaking about the book that your father wrote was pretty incredible. I think, I don't know your mom the way I would like to, but clearly she is leaving just an incredible legacy in the way that you are going forth with your life and creating this whole national sibling movement is just, I'm really blessed to know you and to be part of it in any way I can. but I also would sort of be feeling like I missed something if I didn't say to you, I know I don't really know your mom, but when I got to be with you at that luncheon and meet your mom and talk to her and then go to the event where they showed the documentary on the book you wrote, just the way that you are in your family just speaks such volumes, in the way that you care about your brother and the relationship that I got to see when you called your brother. And just, you know, I know that your mom is a very special matriarch, and that's why you have this. I think it's part of the strength that of who you are is a reflection. I'd like to honestly think of your mom. I just sort of feel that. And I don't know, today I just wanted everyone to know that I care very much about, I guess, sort of trying to be a young matriarch for Autism Tree, because I think about the women or the people in your life that are really, really supporting you, and really, it only takes one person to believe in you, and who's that person? And give them an extra like deep thought and reflection, because it'll feel really good when you do that. And even if you can share it with them. I have some pictures to pull up if you weren't here to meet Walt, which I know you weren't, Tessa. We met Walt, like I was saying, when he was in San Diego. It's the only time Autism Tree in 18 years sponsored a table is for the event that Walt was out here doing. That book I'm holding is the book that Walt was speaking about at the luncheon. And that picture next to me and Walt is us with his mom that I was talking about. And then the third picture over is Walt with our sibling, who we started a small sibling chapter, and she's also in National Charity League and has a sister on the autism spectrum. Walt is actually on stage right here in Town and Country in Mission Valley. And then the second row is Walt with our own Joel Anderson and one of Joel's friends. And then that's Garrett and I in DC having a dinner with Walt, which is really fun to meet you, and then realize you lived in Washington, DC when Garrett was, I believe, a freshman. Is there any other, yeah, these are Zoom calls since we've been in the pandemic with Walt. We've been working on staying in touch, talking about our neuroscience conference coming up in November with him. If we don't do it this year, we want to have a siblings panel, if not this year, in the future. And we just value Walt's network and what he's doing to include him in helping us promote the conference. But it's with deep gratitude, honestly, Walt, that I bring you to the foundation, because I've felt connected to you since the first day I heard you speak. And again, I really hope you know that I kind of have a special feeling towards your mom, because I know she keeps inspiring you to keep going bigger with all you're doing with Siblings program, and I feel grateful for that. So thank you for being here today.
Absolutely, Dana. Thank you so much for the introduction, and hey to everybody that we get to hang out with for the next half hour, 45 minutes or so. Yeah, Dana, thank you so much for the words you said. And, you know, particularly when you talk about being a matriarch and you talk about my mom, who you hit the nail on the head, is kind of like the guiding light within our family. But I think when I think about siblings and I think about Owen and parents, you know, we're all complementary pieces to each other. You know, each one of us lights each other up. We lean on each other, we grow off each other, we walk beside each other. And I think today what I want to talk about, obviously, is the sibling part of it, but really how the siblings we're there to, you know, be lifted up, and also to lift up our brothers and sisters, and just how, you know, activating that part of the family can be so important in the near and long term. And then just, you know, how ultimately, the way I see it, and the way I think a lot of siblings see it, is we're our brother and sisters sidekicks, and they're our sidekicks, and we're going to be walking through life with them for the rest of ours, longer than our parents are going to be walking there. So it's about, you know, helping them, you know, get the recognition and the shine and live the full life that everyone deserves, and how we're partners with our brothers and sisters in this, and that we're all in this together. So it's just been great over the last couple of years to meet so many dedicated advocates, family members, friends, community members that, you know, you all probably see it every day too, but we're all in this boat rowing the same way. And the more that we can come together and help each other, you know, the better it is for everyone out there. So with that, I just wanted to talk a little bit about SibStrong and what I'm doing working with siblings. And then from there, hopefully just to have a really general conversation. You know, we have a great sized group here where I think we can all just kind of talk to each other, and would love to hear everything. So, you know, you all have been doing in your day-to-day lives and answer any questions you all have. So I think just off the bat, just some of the high level, why do you bring siblings together? Well, it's why you bring any group of people together. It's good to have a community of people like you. You know, it's great over the years that I've been able to watch how the self-advocate community has come together and formed, and that they have such incredible strength in numbers of people that are walking the same path as them, that have their life experiences they can tap into. And that's the same idea for siblings, that you want to have a place where you can go and turn with people that just get it. And that when you're going out to interact, you have that confidence and knowledge that you can tap back into this network of liked experienced people. So I think it's just important, you know, especially because for years, and speaking from personal experience, but also speaking from experience of other siblings I've talked to, growing up, often a lot of us didn't really have those experiences. So it's creating those opportunities, creating those networks of, you know, so people have the knowledge that they have somewhere to go. And then from there, I think once you build these communities, you have an opportunity. I don't think, you know, there's a million resources out there. There's great tools and information and everything else. And we all know the internet is a vast and endless place where you can find a million different things. But just telling someone to go out there and start looking for things, it's helpful to have a home base first. And that's what you know, the importance of bringing the siblings together. And then from there, delivering resources that can help them, can help their brothers and sisters, their families, their communities. So it's creating the space and then delivering the tools, I think, is really important for siblings. And just to go into a little bit more detail on this, you know, I think starting from a young age, and what myself and other siblings have heard, is there's often a lack of opportunity to discuss and, you know, give air to the sibling experience. Where just from personal, when I was growing up, I didn't really know any other brothers and sisters that had siblings. Like, I didn't have any friends that had a brother like Owen. And I always kind of thought I was walking this solo path. A lot of, like any experience, you don't always want to be talking about it with your parents. Your friends might mean well, but don't quite get it. But I think for a lot of siblings, and we've seen in our SibStrong gatherings, even from a young age, the future is on the mind. You know, you wonder what, you know, the road ahead's going to look like. And like in anything, whether it's autism or just general life is uncertain up the road. But that doesn't mean you're not thinking about it. And I think there's a benefit when the way we've been bringing siblings together with younger siblings and then older siblings is you can talk to people that are walking ahead of you, that can understand your experiences and can answer those questions. And because when you don't, I think a lot of siblings, and myself included, can often slide into this, I'm here to be helpful, don't worry about me, and kind of become a good team player. And which is good, which is a great thing to do. It's, you know, like anyone, you know, you want to be helpful to people around you, but you don't want to do that at the expense of making sure you're getting what you need and getting the help you need. And so having that space to talk openly and to talk, you know, freely and honestly with, you know, in a safe space, I think is just really important. So that's what we're really trying to do when we do our gatherings of all different ages of siblings. So quickly, just a little high level, what is it? We're bi siblings. We're for SibStrong as a bi siblings and for siblings organization. Originally, we were in person, but now with COVID, everything is virtual. We provide opportunities to connect, share experience, and access that information that I talked about earlier. And what we recognize is there's no right way to be a sibling. You know, people will say you meet one autistic person, you've met one autistic person. that I think that can be applied to any frame of life. Every person is a unique individual, and we want to celebrate that and tell everyone, however you're coming to us, that is perfectly okay. The value is not in having all the answers, but having a place where you can share experiences and hear experiences. So that's what we're trying to do as we bring all our different groups of siblings together. And who's it for? If you are a sibling of someone with a disability, SibStrong is for you. It's obviously a lot of our community are siblings of autistic people, but anyone who is a sibling of someone with a disability, we are here and our arms are open, and we break it into different age groups. So we have our younger siblings, like it showed here, 11 to 17. On the younger end, we're a little flexible with that. Then we have our college age, right out of college siblings, and then there's a typo right there, but then we have our adult siblings. So basically all siblings welcome, and we have a place for you. I first want to talk, and I think it'd be helpful, and then I want to talk to you all and hear what you all are hearing. But from our gatherings, I think it's important and helpful to let people know what we're hearing during these gatherings. So with our adult sibling groups, and this ranges from 25 to 65, things that people are talking about, and these are things that I think apply across the board to different levels, but a lot of adult siblings talk about, especially in families where there's 3 or 4 brothers and sisters, how do we figure out who's going to be involved in support roles as our brothers or sister ages, and how are we having those conversations both with our brothers and sisters and with our parents? I think everything you're going to see here, and I don't think this is a great revelation to anybody, but it really all does boil down to communication and how important it is to communicate, that everyone's thinking these things, it's in people's minds. What's important though is giving air to these. Sometimes they can be uncomfortable. Any conversation with family over big issues is going to draw up, major emotions, but the earlier you talk about, what's going on with your family, what the future looks like, the better everyone is going to feel and be supported. It's really the idea of, tearing off that Band-Aid and going forward. So in terms of support roles, that's something we hear a lot. Sorry, one thing, are you all hearing a leaf blower in the background?
No, you're good.
Okay, good. All right. Other things we're hearing is, I think for a lot of siblings, we sometimes feel like we're riding kind of on a parallel track almost, and we know that our parents are really involved in our siblings' lives, and that at some point we're going to step in, but often it's just assumed way down the road that's going to happen. And when I talk to siblings in their 50s and 60s who have done these transitions, I think a lot of them will say it's tough to go from 0 to 100 like that. And I think there's frustration around, what is our plan as a family? Talking with your brother and sister and saying, what do you want your plan to look like? What do you want your life to look like? And, working collaboratively together, but having that clear picture just can relieve a lot of anxiety. And then, again, that part of when do you become included? And, I definitely understand, my parents have said this to me at points of, we want you to live your own life. We are there to take care of your brother, but you need to do, what you want to do, which I appreciate. And I appreciate how much parents are, willing to, do things. But like any siblings, like my brother is a part of my life. And so how do we take on active roles, but also make sure, we don't want to overstep, this isn't our lives, this is our brother and sister's lives. But if we're going to be active in it, what do our roles look like? And then to that end, what do, beyond the finances, beyond, the more logistical, I think a lot of siblings think about, what does our larger support network look like for me and my sibling? Is it friends? Is it cousins? Is it aunts and uncles? But I think it's really important to figure out who is in this environment, and what your siblings, and they're going to make it themselves. But I think especially when you're talking to extended family, figuring out what the support network looks like, and people understand, where things are and where things are moving. And then this next to last one, I think it's an interesting thing that a lot of siblings have brought up at gatherings, that I think often we've seen our parents and, been there with our parents and watching them raise us and raise our brother and sister. But the importance of really having your own relationship with your brother and sister, not an extension of your parents' relationship. And how important that is to see it through a lens of, some siblings will bring up the third parent idea, but that it's really you or your brother or sister's sibling, and how to like create that relationship, and the importance of cultivating that from a young age is something I think that can often be overlooked. But then as siblings get older, they realize how important it is to focus on that. And so that's just another thing we've been hearing a lot in our gatherings. And then finally, like for everyone, especially during COVID, is self-care and the importance of, being there, but also making sure you're there for yourself, because you can't really be there for your family, your friends. You can't show up for work if you're not taking care of yourself. So I think that's just an important thing. And then moving on, what we're hearing, the younger sibling groups, and I'll explain kind of how the structure of SibStrong works, but we have usually, for every 4 younger siblings at our gathering, we'll have 1 to 2 older siblings who are there to, be the facilitators and the guides in these sessions. So usually the younger siblings have a lot of questions for the older siblings. But, what some of the younger siblings are saying, we enjoy playing games with the kids when we have these gatherings, but it is also clear that, even 9-year-olds, they want to talk about what's going on. They want to be open with how they're feeling, because like I said earlier, there's often not a lot of outlets to do that. So it was just actually just kind of surprising as we've gone on with our gatherings, how in tune a lot of siblings are with the world around them, their emotions, and how interested they are in really having these conversations at an age that you might not always expect. And also that they want to, meet other siblings like them that they can relate to. Again, talking about friends who can be very supportive, but it's not their lived experience. So these younger siblings want to meet other siblings like them. It's, a comfort in numbers to be able to turn and say, okay, all these people here, these are people that I can have open conversations with, who I feel comfortable having. And then, when we talk about what they're looking for, other things, dealing with situations that might be when they're out of their depth. And I think that's where often the older siblings are really helpful to bounce questions off of and say, what are things, how did you deal with X situation? Because, thinking when I was younger, there were definitely times when I could feel overwhelmed or not know how to deal with things. So they want that guidance, and, they can have it from us as siblings. But I think for any parents out there, it's also really important to, have that communication open early and to have those conversations. Because, it's funny, when I talked to my parents when I was probably 25 and said, they said, you always seemed like you kind of had everything under control and you never said anything was much of an issue. But in truth, it was, and it was easier just to not talk about it. So, not forcing, but, opening up those pathways of communication and getting your kids comfortable in talking, even from a young age, just a little 2-minute conversation that it might not seem like much, but it can be worlds of help for your kids. And another thing they talk about is, and we talk about with them, is how we dealt with it is, we obviously know a lot of our brothers and sisters are, more attention is required. That's a natural. And that's, you realize that, and you see what mom and dad and your sibling have to go through it all the time to, get the accommodations that might come easier to us and to go to things after school. But I think sometimes siblings will feel like the dynamic can be unbalanced. And again, the same thing as talking to your kids about situations. I think it's really important to give air to these feelings of what's the dynamic like, and just have those open pathways of conversations. And then I kind of talked about with even adult siblings, but making sure there's time for brothers and sisters to be brothers and sisters together, to find shared interests and joys and to connect over those is just really important also. So just like quickly, how the gatherings work. We have gatherings for each age group approximately every 6 to 8 weeks. Gatherings are totally free. For now, they're all virtual, but we're also looking for ways. We have a group in Rockville now that's starting, one of our SibStrong members starting a group at our high school, because the system is very easy to replicate in terms of, we have content in terms of discussion topics and things like that, but ultimately what our gatherings are is a space to just talk and connect of how are people doing. And that's easy to replicate. And the more you can do that and just have natural check-ins, it just helps the siblings, it helps who's ever taking part. But how the gatherings work is usually we have a large group, and then once we kind of do the initial introductions, we break out into smaller, more select groups, so it's easier to have conversations, and then we reconvene back together. And then gathering guidance. This goes for the 8-year-olds all the way to the 6-year-olds, but there's no right way to participate. I think sometimes I hear siblings say, oh, I'm not that involved in my brother's sister's life, or this isn't something I'm super comfortable talking about. Siblings can come and talk the whole time, or they can shut their screen off and just listen. There's no right way to be anything. There's no right way to be a sibling. You are who you are, and that's what we want to celebrate, and just join the circle. And also, obviously, this is a safe sibling space. And I think that's one thing that's really important to recognize and to reinforce is, I think the reason our gatherings are as effective as they are is because, we often don't want to talk to our parents about these things. They're, like any relationship and dynamic, there's going to be ups and downs. And so recognizing it's just a space for siblings gives people comfort and gives them confidence to really be open and talking. And then the last part, have fun, ask questions, just be engaged to however works for you. So it's 1 and 3 fairly similar. And then kind of just, the benefits, and I've talked throughout about this, but it's nice to develop community, to meet other siblings, celebrate our roles, just like any other self-selecting group. It's, you get together with a population of people like you, and you can just, it helps give light to your experiences, helps to normalize an experience that often can be fairly solitary for a lot of siblings. And, from there, there's no requirements for being in SibStrong. You can show up to one gathering a year, you can show up to all the gatherings, but just knowing that this community's here that you can tap into, that you can lean on. And yeah, so it's been fantastic. It's been fantastic bringing older siblings together to be there for younger siblings. For me, as I'm 32, it's great to talk to 50 and 60-year-old siblings and learn about what their lives are like. We all have value in our experiences, and we can all help each other just by talking to each other. So, the facilitators, and this is all on sibstrong.org, the website, but we're always looking for more sibling facilitators to be there and to work with the younger siblings for these reasons. They've been there before. It can validate feelings. It's important for younger siblings to see older versions of themselves, and the perspective that's provided is really authentic. So with all of that, just want to kind of have an open conversation and hear, what everyone else is doing out there, and invite anyone to come check. If you're a sibling, come check out SibStrong. And yeah, we'd just love to hear from everyone. And thank you all, Dana, Rebecca, thank you all so much for having me. And yeah, let's chat.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks so much, Walt. I'll open it up to everybody. You can unmute yourself to ask Walt a question. We do have one question in the chat from Alexandra Tacone. She's one of our board members and a mom. Hi, Alex. So glad you could join us today.
Hey, Alex, how's it going?
I'm doing great, thank you. I'm actually a sibling myself, my brother in the spectrum. He is 40 now, and but I also have 2 boys. My oldest is 15 and he's in the spectrum, and then my youngest is 12 and he's not. And I could see a lot of things you were saying, and I would love for him to join in. And if you're ever looking for much older, yeah, I love what you're doing, because many times the people who take care and help sometimes get thrown in the side. So thank you for what you do. I'm definitely very interested.
Yeah, well, Alex, nice to meet another sibling. I'd say first thing, I would love for you to come join as I was saying, for our gatherings, we have adult siblings in their 60s that join. So I'll send, and everyone here, I'll send information about our gatherings, but I think for your son too, it'd be great to have him take part. I think anyone here that's family can appreciate that, often, and I talked about, but when it's the younger or older brother or sister, you just want to, you don't want to be a burden often, and you kind of want to figure it out by yourself. And having that opportunity just to talk with other siblings and kind of just like relax your shoulders a little bit and say, I think anyone can, admit there's parts that are great, but like any relationship, there are parts that are hard. And I think being able to give air to that and have other people say, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, can just be, it just gives you a little more confidence. And I think also then confidence to, and we see it with a lot of our kids, then go and talk to their parents about things maybe that they weren't talking about before because they were like, I'm fine, don't worry about it. But just kind of, letting them know other people are there. So yeah, I would love to, we'd love to have your son join, we'd love to have you join our adult gathering, but it is really just like the more the merrier, because you'll hear something from one person, you're like, oh, that relates to my life, or someone else, like that doesn't as much. But when you make those connections, and then we have people connecting outside of that saying like, okay, this is someone who's really had a similar life experience. And then from then you can often always have, two people that can rely on each other. But yeah, we would love to, love to have you all take part. And I'll send all the information about the program and everything else.
Do you have dates on the gatherings too?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll send those via Rebecca, but we have
Right.
we have two coming up. So I'll send all that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, do they have to RSVP ahead of time in order to participate, or is it just on the website with like the Zoom?
So I'm going to put it up on the website soon. Up to now, we've just had like a Zoom RSVP link, but I'll send all those links in like a whole package that people can look at. It's just generally helpful, especially less for the adults, but more for the younger kid gatherings, to RSVP in advance. So then I usually figure out in advance, like, okay, here are the different kids we have coming. Here's enough, just so we can pair the facilitators with the kids and make sure there's like an equal balance. But I'll send a full list of all the information.
Perfect.
For everyone.
And for those of you who are new to our Lunch and Learns, we do send a weekly recap of our Lunch and Learns with the link to this recording right now, and then with more details. So yeah, I'll definitely include that. And we have more questions in the chat. Okay, so Gerardo, thanks for being here. He says, our son has a sister that is 8 years old. Can she participate at a young age?
So Gerard, I'd be happy to talk to you. Generally, we've been trying to start at the youngest, in the like 10 or so range, but we have had a couple of 8-year-olds joining. And, for some of them, what we try and do with the youth gatherings, where it can be like high school to elementary school, we generally segment them out. So the younger kids, 9 through 11 are together, and then the, 14 to 16-year-olds are speaking. But I'll send all my information, and then we can connect separately to find out something that will definitely work.
Awesome. And I have a question. How many facilitators do you have already as of today?
We have about 10 facilitators at this point. And they're generally in their 20s and 30s. We're always open to adding more. We have kind of trainings and guides that they can go through to kind of like prepare for it. But yeah, we're always open to adding more facilitators. Generally the threshold is if you're a sibling and you've had these experiences and you're interested in, taking part. Obviously there's background checks and things like that, but yeah, we have this like great group of about 10 or 11 facilitators that rotate and work with our kids.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Lisa H says, understanding and strategies and resources. This seems vital for growth and development. How do we share this type of information? Anxiety and stress builds up for a parent and child when that transition takes place. How do the siblings get more information and resources on how and when and if, especially, you could see that.
Definitely. Yeah. So Lisa, that's a great question. And I think everyone, myself included, we're all kind of on our own journeys, like, every family is going to be different, but you're speaking the same language I am in terms of, even for me and my family, we have stress about what the future is going to look like and how to navigate that. I think the great thing is there's a ton of good resources and information out there, but I think as a first step, it's not just accessing those resources, it's having the conversations with other people first to, express the emotions you're having, the feelings you're having, the perspectives you're having about it. I think that's what's been helpful with our gatherings, is especially for the adult siblings that join, for them to talk with other siblings about, yeah, here's where I am at my journey on that, or I'm at this juncture. And other siblings can talk about, okay, well, this is how we dealt with this, or this is the conversation I had with my family. And you can take that and then bring that back and apply it to your own situation. But then in terms of nuts and bolts and things like that, I think that is, in terms of special needs trust, financial planning, employment, things like that, that's something we're actively working to figure out, bringing in specialists and people that can have presentations and talk about, here's what you need to know, but then making sure that all the siblings that are involved can get connected with those so they can figure out how to plan their journey. One thing I definitely recommend, the ARC of the United States has a Center on Future Planning. Hold on one second, let me just drop it into the chat right here.
Perfect.
So this is a number of our SibStrong members either work or affiliated with the ARC, and this is a great resource as like a basis point to start to figure out, what your family plan is going to look like. But, even when you have all your plans lined up, that doesn't mean it's not still stressful. When, I know when I talk to my mom, I think for her, the idea that one day she's not going to be there for my brother and won't be there to, have her hands on the wheel and be there for him is incredibly stressful. And I don't totally understand because I don't have a kid. I can't be in her shoes, but, it's natural to have all these anxieties. But I think the more we don't treat it as like the elephant in the room and we'll deal with it when we get there, have starting that early and just normalizing and giving air to it helps in the longer term. And then sorry, just reading your question, Lisa. For sure. So at this point, we don't have a one-to-one mentor program. I think just the initial parents we've talked to, I think for a lot of the kids too, it can be a little uncomfortable like doing the one-to-one pairing. But I think that's why when we have the smaller groups, so we'll have like 4 younger siblings, 1 older sibling, you can kind of view them as like your buddy, almost like that's the constant facilitator that's there. In terms of local schools, I think that's something I wanted to talk about and that we're trying to expand is you can, we're looking to, get as many siblings involved as possible. So if there's 2 siblings, you and someone else, the 2 of you are getting together, that can be SibStrong in its own way. And I think just having that opportunity to, again, and I can send information and things, topics that come up that can be discussed. But what it's really about is just getting siblings together and having these conversations as a first point. And so you can start it with just a couple of siblings. It is only for siblings. And I say that, I think, because when we're just siblings together, we're more free to talk about, often sometimes uncomfortable things or things that really, you might only want other siblings to hear. I know there's a lot of great family resource groups out there. And also I want to make siblings a resource in terms of being there to answer questions for parents, because I think for me personally, like I would have trouble asking some of these questions. My parents would feel uncomfortable talking to me about some of these things, but it's different when it's someone else's child. So I think we'll make available siblings to talk to parents and to do, discussions like this with parents, Q&A sessions. But in terms of our gatherings, it is definitely siblings only.
Mm-hmm. We have a raised hand. Sophia, you can go ahead and unmute yourself and feel free to ask a question.
All right. So hi, I'm Sophia. My older brother is 20 and has autism and is currently going through ATP. And I was just wondering, like, as a 16-year-old like myself, like I'm trying to find more connections with other siblings with people with autism and like disabilities.
Yeah.
And what I'm thinking about doing is like starting a club or organization at my school, like kind of similar to SibStrong, with people who have like this connection as well. So my question would be like, what do you think would be the first steps into starting a group like this, and how would I promote like engaging conversations?
Yeah, for sure. Sophia, one, thank you so much for joining. I got your email the other night and I meant to respond to it. You know, one, you're totally on the right track. I think the first step, and I'll message you from the website, but would love to have you join one of our upcoming gatherings with other high school age siblings. I think that might be a good like introductory to just see how kind of the gatherings work and to just connect with this other group of siblings. I think from there, like I talked about earlier with Lisa's question, it is a pretty basic thing. I think you can start a group at your high school. We can definitely be helpful in providing like, here are different conversation topics, things, fundamentals to get the group going. I can send information that if you need to present to your, high school, the coordinator or whatever, like here's the idea behind SibStrong. But then from there, it's like I said before, it's just getting the group together. And, it's funny, a lot of times we'll have full agendas for our gatherings, but then the gatherings really just start with like, how's everyone doing? It's because that's what it is at its base. It's like, how's it going? And then you're with other siblings. So the conversation just like flows from there. But yes, I will connect with you, but would love to, help you in starting a local high school group and getting you connected with other siblings.
Yeah, and my other question would be like, since my school is a relatively small school, it's La Jolla Country Day. It has, I think, a population of like 1,200 people in it, but our upper school doesn't have as much people. So, like you spoke before when you said that you think it should mainly be siblings with a disability. I was just wondering because with the population that we do have, I don't think we have enough people to just like with a sibling per se with disabilities. Like, could it be a member within their household that has a disability as well? Would that work?
If it was like a parent or something like that.
Yeah.
I'd be happy to like talk to you more about that and we can figure out like what that looks like. I think I would say you would, to what Alex just said, I bet, and that was the thing I didn't realize when I was in high school, that like if I had just like put up a message of like, are you the sibling of someone with a disability? I thought I was the only one, or maybe there was like one other. There was probably like 15 other siblings. So I think even just like putting the word out, and then again, to what like I said to Lisa's question before, in terms of like critical mass, what you need, if you have 2 or 3 siblings, you have 2 or 3 people that you can, start doing this with and check in with. And that's like enough to get the ball rolling. But, I think, and I can help you, like we can talk about how to like put the word out and stuff. But to what Alex just said, I bet you would be surprised how many siblings like you there are, even within your school, that you just don't realize.
All right. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
I love all these organic connections.
I want to make sure, I hope, is Dr. Vivanti still on the line, Rebecca?
Yes, he is. Hi, Dr. Vivanti.
Dr. Vivanti is here from Drexel University, Walter, and I was on our neuroscience panel. I've told Walt, remember me telling you about Dr. Vivanti? I want you guys to meet really quick. I didn't know you were on here, Dr. Vivanti. Thanks for being here. You want to say hi?
Hi, yes, I was so inspired by this talk. It's so great to hear about the work that you're doing, Walter. This is fantastic. I was having my camera off because I have my daughter home because of quarantining. Anyway, but thank you so much for all the work you're doing. I'm a sibling myself. I'm married to another sibling. I have 2 brothers who are on the autism spectrum, and they live in my country, in Italy. And my brother-in-law, Joe, lives in Australia, where my wife is from. And, a lot of the work that I'm doing is about research and generating data and science, but nothing replaces lived experiences and the work that comes from having experienced autism in one way or another. So what I always try to do when I relate to my colleagues who are in the research business is to try to always go back to the lived experiences of people. And the kind of work that you're doing is so important because it focuses on that and it provides the information that people need in order to do good science and to advance the well-being and the life of those with autism and their families. So really amazing work.
Well, thank you so much. It's great to connect. I'm actually just right down the road in DC, and I went to Penn State, so a lot of my friends live in Philly. I would love to, I'll email you after this, but I'd love to connect and talk more. And,
Let's connect. Absolutely.
Yeah, and would love to, as a sibling, I would love to, I'll send information around, but would love to have you at the next gathering. And, the work, it all definitely goes like so hand in hand nicely of, I would love to learn more about the research and how, the sibling experience could be connected, but it's great to meet you and thank you for everything you're doing.
Great to meet you. And thank you, Dana, for inspiring us as usual and facilitating these connections. We'll definitely be in touch.
Yeah.
I'm counting this as a big blessing, you guys. And right here, each one of you, like I was saying, and I now like seriously, soul level, I'm not exaggerating because I shared the Lunch and Learn. Did I not, Dr. Vivante, with Walt? I shared, Walt, your Lunch and Learn with Dr. Vivante.
Oh, great.
And, I can't say enough how much I value these Lunch and Learns. And I want to give a little shout out. First, Alexandra, it's so nice to see your face and to have you here means a lot to me. You're an awesome board member, friend, inspiration to me. And really sweet, Sophia. I just wanted to say to you that we've been building Autism Tree Project, just so you know, one family at a time for 18 years. That's the truth. Yesterday, I'm going to tell you something, and I'm not exaggerating, and I hope you guys don't judge me, but I have this person in my life who's really, really dedicated to the foundation. He's a new dad. He just does so much, can't be exaggerated. Yesterday, I was talking to him and, something's coming up with him in his life with his little 2-year-old. I was super strong like I always am. And then you know what? We never stop loving each family, Sophia. I could not sleep last night. I was crying thinking, I know how he feels. I know how he feels about everything going down with him, with his kids' preschool, with him and his wife. Like, it's like it happened to me yesterday and Garrett's 21. So I say that to you with total respect, Sophia, that I think what you want to take on is extraordinarily important and that it's no accident, sort of like that you're here and you're meeting Walt and you're meeting, Dr. Vivante. I mean, you heard Alexandra, her boys go to your school. Like, this is synchronicity. There's no accident. But I would like to say that every family matters. And if you even had one sibling, I would consider it a success and a blessing. Yesterday, I was dealing with one father. And if I had nothing else going on at the foundation, I would think, wow, this is important enough to just keep Autism Tree going right here, right now. So thank you. I think this has been one of our more synchronicity connecting Lunch and Learns where there's a lot happening here. And I hope, it all just keeps going forward with all this connection in honor of siblings, because I think, siblings deserve that. And I couldn't be more thrilled and blessed today. Well, you're the catalyst.
Well, hey, Dana, you just is abundantly clear. You bring all of us together is creating the sparks, and it's just so great to thank you for continuing to do this. And like you said, even if you work with one person on a day, that's value. Each of us helping someone else, and we're all walking forward together. We're doing this for ourselves, for our brothers and sisters, for our families. It all makes a difference. And being in virtual rooms like this, or hopefully real life rooms in the future, it's what, it fills the soul.
Yes. And you know what? Well, since I'm a generation older than you and a few than you, Sophia, I have had a new mantra. I told you I've been reflecting inward. And I'm not concerned with people saying that I have grace anymore. I'm sort of giving up on that. Like, it was important to me for the first generation when Garrett was on the, I was raising my son, but now I feel a stronger sense. And what I feel is this: I feel a whole new level of urgency for this next generation. And I think that the siblings coming forward is critical. We have to do more. I mean, I'm thinking about, well, maybe one day I'll have a grandchild. I mean, everybody who has a neurodiverse child, sibling, someone in their life, we have got to do more this next generation. We just have to. We've already, at this foundation, raised one generation, and we have a little over 200, give or take, teenagers that we're trying to individually help guide and get into jobs and schools and everything else. And we're completely dedicated and focused to that and making a pivot because of it. But also because of it is, I feel that we need to be, I'm not so worried about being graceful anymore. I'm just not. I'm worried if I can be aggressive without being a turnoff. So I hope we could unite in that Sibling Strong is a great, I like the logo, right? It's like, we have to be stronger. We have to, use our muscle more and our voice more. And so I think that this is just a great jumping block for the pivot that we're trying to make literally this month with Rebecca at the helm, with moving to a membership model. We've given everything for 18 years for free, and we can't get where we want to go doing that anymore. So I'm very inspired today to be stronger. And I want to, say thank you to Walt and everyone for uniting here today. And I hope that we can harness and keep this momentum.
I'd love to take a group picture of everyone to commemorate this amazing lunch and learn today. So let's have, if you want to share your camera, you're welcome to. I'd love to see everyone's smiling faces. And I'll take a screenshot. Okay. Full screen. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3, cheese. All right. Thank you again, Walt. Thank you everyone for joining us today.
Thanks, everyone.
See you this
Thank you
weekend,
so
Dad.
much.
Safe flight back here.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Take care,
Bye.
guys. I'll see you on Friday.
Yeah.
Bye, Dana.
Bye.
Yeah.
Love you.